Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I want to talk about 9/11 and the deep state. 17 years ago tomorrow were the 9/11 attacks that took place in New York City, Washington D.C., and Pennsylvania. National tragedy, a disaster, 3,000 people killed. And yet not a lot of answers. Yes, we know the planes hit the World Trade Center buildings. We know there is Islamic terrorism. But there are a lot of unanswered questions. The story goes a lot deeper than just 19 hijackers from Saudi Arabia. There's more to the story. And it's a little bit too much to get into in some ways, but I want to touch on one aspect of this because I want to challenge you to think for yourself. I presented this information a long time ago to other people, and I was astounded at how closed-minded so many people were. It really blew my mind. Like, don't you see this? Can you at least ask questions? Can you at least investigate this? No. I'm not going to say what I'm really thinking because it really made me angry. And no, we don't need to be looking, inside the refrigerator, under the couch for conspiracies, okay? We simply need to have a desire for the truth. Isn't that the scientific method? You investigate, you start with a hypothesis, you ask questions, you investigate, and you determine an outcome or what is the truth? Well, the deep state didn't come up out of nowhere. It didn't pop up after spring rain. It didn't just pop out of the ground because Donald Trump ran for president. It's been around for decades. And for decades, mainstream media has a stranglehold on the official narrative of what's going on. So we didn't get alternative views. We got a harmonized, single view of most issues that are taking place in the country over many decades, not just 9/11. But in recent years, with the rise of alternative media and more stronger conservative voices, on talk radio, the official narrative has been challenged on a number of things. A lot of different issues. And 9/11 is one of them. Years ago, it was not very popular to suggest alternative views to 9/11 and what took place or who was behind it. And people didn't, frankly, want to hear it. People in the church didn't want to hear it. And I'm not saying George W. Bush was the mastermind. I don't think he was at all, okay? He ended up having to go along for the ride after the fact, it seems, but I don't think he was an instigator, okay? So just, if anyone's freaking out about that, just chill out, okay? But corruption is nothing new, and it was around back then, make no mistake. And if you want to look at one aspect, there's countless smoking guns, but if you want to look at one of the biggest and one of the most obvious, it's World Trade Center Building 7. Towers 1 and 2 collapsed in the morning. Building 7, which is like a 47-story skyscraper, it's a huge building. Doesn't look that big in Manhattan, but any other city would look pretty big. 47-story tower, 5:20 p.m., collapsed straight down in like 6.9 seconds, straight down to its own footprint. Perfectly straight down, symmetrically. There's only one way that can happen. Buildings, it's a modern skyscraper. It was formerly known as the Salomon Brothers building. Modern skyscraper. Typically, a building like that can only come down if there's a massive military strike, which didn't happen, an earthquake, which did not happen, or a controlled demolition. There have been many other office fires in U.S. and world history. Huge fires. You know how many modern skyscrapers have collapsed as a result of fire? None. How many have collapsed since 9/11? None. Well, the government did an investigation. The National Institute for Science and Technology spent $20 million coming up with their official story, basically their smoke screen, their bullcrap story on how Building 7 collapsed. They basically said it was because of some office fires that took place on a couple floors. Weakened one of the columns, column 79, and the whole building just collapsed. You've got to be kidding me. The only way a building can collapse symmetrically is if all the columns fail at the exact same time all the way through. That means all the columns have to fail instantaneously at the same time for that building to come straight down like that. Anything else, it's not going to be a symmetric, it's going to be a chaotic, asymmetrical collapse. I mean, even though this is happening right in front of people's eyes, it's like people can't see it. Like, I mean, I've told people, it's like, you see this, right? You see this, and the blindness is amazing because people are so invested in the official story, they don't want to look like a retard for realizing that they've been chumped. They've been lied to, and it's not their fault they're lied to. You know, you only know what you're told. But when you investigate, and you start to ask questions, you look at the engineering, you look at science, and you start to ask critical questions, you realize there's no way the official story was true. $20 million and, you know, 7 years it took for them to do that, come up with that bogus investigation. The original budget for 9/11, the whole investigating the entire thing, you know what it was? $3 million. You know what $3 million says? Shut up and go away. We don't want this investigated. What a joke. Later, I think it worked its way up to maybe like 15 or something. Monica Lewinsky scandal, I think that had a $30 million price tag. Shows you where the government's priority is, right? And the only reason there wasn't an investigation, 9/11 commission, is because people screamed at them loud enough and long enough that they forced them to do it. Even the 9/11 commission, 6 of the 10 commissioners don't even put much stock in their own report. What does that tell you? So what I'm going to do after this video, I'm going to post a video, 15-minute video by architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. We're talking thousands and thousands of architects and engineers who have looked at the science and know, hey, this was controlled demolition. What's the problem with controlled demolition? It takes weeks, if not months, to set that up. You can't do it in a day. That's impossible. To go through the entire engineering of the building, to make the decision the day up to do it and then rig the entire building with explosives, to go through the science, go through engineering, permits, blah, 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 all that in less than a day? No, what it means is the building was rigged in advance. That's the problem here. That's the problem with Building 7. It was rigged in advance to collapse. What does that tell you? It means people within the government had foreknowledge. Jihadis didn't sneak into Building 7 and do it without anybody knowing. The building was filled with spooks. FBI, CIA, Secret Service, Department of Defense, other groups, companies, agencies were in there. You think they just got in there and, you know, rigged the entire building and went Allah Akbar and blew the building up? No. People knew it was going to come down. That makes you think, doesn't it? It's like, oh. Then the dominoes start to fall. Then you start to think and realize, oh, something else is going on here. So I challenge you to think. I challenge you to watch this other video that I'm going to post. These architects and engineers, you know, when they made this video, I mean, it's like they're putting their reputations and careers on the line. They don't have anything to gain by lying. It's costing them money. It's costing them personally. It's costing them insults and laughs and being snubbed by friends and relatives to do this. That's how it works. When you stand up for the truth, you get laughed and sneered at. Yeah. There's one other video I want to post too. I'll post it after the 9/11 one, and it's an interview with Barry Jennings, Deputy Director for Emergency Services, New York City. He was the last guy out of Building 7 alive, him and one other guy. He went to his offices on the 23rd floor. Nobody's there. Everyone's gone. It's like, what the heck's going on? This is right at the time when the planes are about to hit the building. And it's like, well, we got to get out of here. He gets down the 8th floor, then down to the 6th floor, and explosions start going off. And he's like, what are we going to do? They go back up to the 8th floor. And they were there for several hours before the fire department was able to get him out of that building. And he said there were dead bodies in there. He said he was stepping over dead bodies before he left that building. He's dead now, by the way. Yeah, family doesn't want to talk about it. There's no official cause. He's dead. How about that? Yeah. That's what you get for blowing the whistle. But yeah, his name is Barry Jennings, and he tells his story about what happened when he was in there. Yeah. Explosions going off inside the building. More confirmation of controlled demolition on Building 7. I know it was 17 years ago, but I will not forget what happened that day and everything that's happened since. And a lot of where we're at in this country now is because of 9/11 and everything that's taken us in the direction since then. The endless wars in the Middle East, a police state in our own country, the loss of our rights, the loss of our freedoms. Fruit of 9/11 has not been good. And terrorism is just a bigger problem now as it ever was. So I'm going to post 2 more videos after I post this, and I challenge you to think for yourself. Love the truth more than you love your own precious opinion. Be willing to face facts. Anyways, that's all I have to say for now. God bless and take care.